Welcome to the Ladies' Room, where politics meets women's issues, and we're not here to sugarcoat anything. We're diving headfirst into the stories that matter to women, from Washington power plays to battles over our basic rights. It's bold, it's unapologetic, and yeah, it's going to get messy. Because let's face it, the fight for equality always is. Grab a drink, pull up a chair, and let's get into it. This is the Ladies' Room.
Hello. Welcome to the Ladies' Room, or Lady Room tonight. I'm Allison, the Mighty Librarian, and it's just me tonight because we have some sick other ladies, so you're all stuck with me. So we have had quite a week. There's a lot going on, so I'm gonna pack the episode with a lot of stuff. So let's start getting into it. So, first off, we talked a lot last year about Project 2025 and all of its potential outcomes in what would be if Trump got elected. So, one of our friends, he's a good friend of the Tony Michaels podcast. He put together this kind of like linked everything to Tony Michaels podcast. Our good friend, the rat who's always in the laboratory, he put together this really, really good kind of like side by side. This is what Trump said he did, and this is where it links to Project 2025. So I'm going to put the link in the chat here, but and if my internet, I don't know if anybody else's screenshots internet is acting up, but mine is stupid slow today. So here we go. So he came up with this kind of the objective and what has happened since Trump has been elected. So it just kind of is showing you how everything is coming to fruition, that, he groups it by the different elements of Project 2025. Remember, each chapter was targeting a different agency, one for the Department of Education, one for the Department of Defense, yada, yada, yada. So I really recommend that you go through this to try to really kind of see how this is all unfolding. If nothing else for yourself, you're not going to convince MAGA of anything with it, but it's a really helpful spreadsheet, resource that you can use for showing how Trump did know exactly what Project 2025 was, and he's starting to implement it. So that is kind of scary. So speaking of, I really wanted to touch base on this point. Part of a fascist takeover is you cause chaos, which obviously they're doing with, all the whether it's bullshit rhetoric or they're just trying to cause distractions or, he actually means it. Who knows at this point? But another first few steps of fascist takeovers is decapitating the media. So what the Departments of Defense did within the week, was that it kicked out of its press corps and said it was going to do a rotating press corps. But the New York Times, NBC, all the outlets that Trump hates got kicked out of their offices. They had permanent offices. The major networks all had, permanent offices within there. So, reporters could write their, a lot of those reporters that you see in that room are at the White House, like for hours and hours and hours a day. So they had offices where they could, write their articles, do their reporting, use the internet, all sorts of things and all of the major ones, Washington Post, New York Times. And if you notice the ones that got kicked out, what's funny is that the New York Times was really capitulating throughout the entire election towards Trump, but he still kicked them out. And when it comes to fascism, it doesn't matter if you are loyal or you have this breakthrough where, oh my God, Trump was right and we were wrong. He will come and get you. And I think it's hilarious that the New York, I can't talk today, guys. It's been a long day. The New York Times, as much as they were capitulating to the right, and it almost seemed like on purpose. I've heard rumors that it was on purpose, but they were like undermining Biden and then Kamala Harris's campaign. So, I can't say that as a fact, but it just really appeared like that to me. I've heard rumors that that was the case, but you know, whether or not that's true, who knows? But the point is they're going to come after you. So back to the Department of Defense. So within their press corps, they're now going to do a rotating press corps. But basically, the New York Times, NBC, PBS, NPR, they now are not allowed to have offices. And guess who took them off? Took them over. New York Post, One American News, Real American News, one of those other far right. Oh, Huffington Post, which I don't think that's a far right organization, but that's just kind of random. So preferential treatment is being given to these absolutely obscene far right newspapers, if you want to call them news. So that, while it's kind of funny and ironic, it's really alarming because here we go with the decapitating of the press. Another really alarming thing that happened today that didn't get any media coverage, and actually I didn't even know about it myself. I sometimes talk to ChatGPT and ask it questions because what ChatGPT does is it spans the entire internet and will come back with, especially on news topics and current events, it'll come back with answers that you may not expect. And I find it insightful in some cases, but ChatGPT brought this story up that I had no idea happened. And major media, I mean, if you Google it, you'll find some media organizations covered it, but for the most part, it wasn't on major media, or it wasn't like what would be in your, top feed of news reports. So apparently, Marjorie Taylor Greene started having hearings with NPR, National Public Radio, and they also had PBS, Public Broadcasting Station, before the House subcommittee to address allegations of media bias to justify their federal funding. And, these two organizations, lots of media rating companies will rate them center left. What's really hard is that, you have PBS, NPR, their main hub, and then you have PBS, your local station. So depending on where you live can really depend on, of course they have their main, stories that get broadcasted, but you also have a lot of local level content that gets pushed that the rest of the nation doesn't hear because it's, NPR New York, NPR Georgia, NPR, and so on. So, but NPR and PBS have been criticized as being really far left, which far left, that's a bit excessive. But so Marjorie Taylor Greene, in her bastion of wisdom, decided to have a whole subcommittee to address their allegations of media bias. So I have not watched it. I really don't want to, but I'm going to, just to see what they were like, what she in particular was asking them. And, part of Project 2025, a big part of Project 2025 was that they wanted to decapitate PBS and NPR. And Carrie Lake, that lunatic from, Arizona, who lost to Ruben Gallego and Carrie Hobbs back in 2022, she's now I forgot her title, but she's basically in charge of like the government's I think it's a made up title, but it's an actual job of like publishing for the government in a sense. There's like a publication, and now she's in charge of what goes out on it. So you can really start to see the takeover of media. And this is exactly what Project 2025, if you go in their communications section of their document, this is exactly what it's talking about. And they want to, what the Heritage Foundation really wants to do is to have the president take over and essentially become state-run media. So there's that one. So that's nice. Just gonna take a look at some of the comments. Yes, exactly. It doesn't matter if you kiss Trump's ass, eventually he'll turn on you. So, and I think what we have to revisit too is why are names escaping me today? Nikki Haley, remember that like I don't know what you would call her, but that crazy woman, she actually thought that she could endorse Trump and everything would be okay. And what did he do first week in office? If you're with bird brain Nikki Haley, so if she thought she had any like chance of being something in Republican politics, at least for this election cycle, probably her career's over, would be my guess. Because how can anyone take her seriously? Like she talks all this shit about Trump. If you remember her brief running for president, and then she, at the RNC is the only option is Donald Trump. Like, are you for real, girl? Like, I think that just maybe it's just me, but I thought that was a big mistake. She should have just doubled down running for president. And if anything, you know what? She should have endorsed Kamala or Joe Biden because she already lost any future she had within the near future, I would say. Probably she's done in Republican politics. But so, there's no grace there unless Trump needs something from you. I think that's the only time he'll like forgive you. Because look at JD Vance. I mean, he called him Hitler and now, he's vice president. But if you notice, JD Vance doesn't go anywhere. He's not publicly seen really, especially not with Trump. So, I think he's just tolerated at this point. Oh, that's right. Cynthia in the comments wrote about Mike Pompeo, who he took his security detail. And what's really crazy about the security details that Trump took was that Mike Pompeo and John Bolton's security detail was increased during the Biden administration. They approved an increase. So, I don't think that just proves that, Biden was above politics, but if they approved increased security for them, there must have been a legitimate. I don't see Joe Biden or his administration, significantly increasing former heads of state. And I mean, John Bolton and Mike Pompeo, okay, yeah, he was pretty well known. John Bolton, I mean, only people like us know who he is. So if they're increasing his security detail, it's likely because there was some sort of credible threat. Um, so if something happens to him, I don't think Trump is going to care, but their blood's on his hands if something happens to them. So that is that. Let's talk about good old Elon. So a couple of friends of mine had posted in random discords and within social media some unhinged shit that he said. And again, if I could get my my internet for some reason is so slow. bear with. Maybe we all should like give a little bit of encouragement to get my screen to load. Okay. There we go. So I'm gonna have to scroll in just a bit. So this is Elon reposting a graphic made. I don't know who made it, but I guess Reddit lies, derp. I guess there's a Reddit thread for white people Twitter, and good old Elon reposted it, and Muskrat's Doge henchmen have been shaving their heads is the least that should happen. Their names, drag their fucking bodies, cause time to drop the mitts. You need to know which needs to cripple, how many to cripple, and where the data got sent, who paid. There's anything left in the Treasury, time to hunt. These people all live somewhere. It's time to do more than dragging names. Let's drag their necks up by a large coil of rope. If they feel they can walk into your government buildings with impunity, just remember they all have addresses of their own. Dox these people and let us deal with them. Where are they on media? Where do they live? So, that's some cheerful, good stuff that Elon is endorsing because they broke the law. Really, Elon, what laws did they break? So that dude is proving to be like, I knew he was unhinged, okay? I don't think I realized he was this level unhinged. I really didn't think, I thought Trump would just appease him by giving him an office somewhere, in the White House and make him feel special. I didn't actually think that he would be this insane. You know what I'm saying? So that's a bit unnerving. And so while we're still on Elon Musk, let's talk about some other stuff. Now, this is a graphic that Skip had posted, and it's not really necessarily the legit, like, it's just talking about a point that I think is important that we go over. There we go. And let's talk about the fact that Elon has his little like teenagers. I don't know if they're actually teenagers, but I heard they're pretty young. Their names are posted online somewhere, and you definitely shouldn't clog up their emails or government phone numbers. But what is really alarming about this is that what they had or have access to is anytime you filed a tax return, how much you made, what refund you got, how much taxes you paid. They have access to any Treasury check you were ever cut. So if you worked for the government or you served in the military, they have access to every single record of that. They have all of your addresses, name changes, social security numbers. Like, they have some serious information about us. I've heard that they have been blocked now from accessing it. I've also heard they had read-only data, but it doesn't matter because they already downloaded it. So there is some serious security breach here that I recommend that you really watch out for your information. I use Aura. I'm not sponsored by them. A lot of YouTubers are. I wouldn't mind being sponsored by them, wink, wink. But I use Aura to keep my data, like, when it gets sold to data brokers, they save you the hassle of having to contact each and every one. So if you Google your name, like I have to get very granular for my name and like little morsels of information about me to be found when I Google my full name. So, and I usually have to Google my full name and my location because there's a famous doctor with my name. I don't know what kind of doctor she is, but she's a doctor, and like she comes up if you just type in my full name and that's it. So, and Aura also has some packages where you can monitor your credit. A lot of people have different things to monitor their credit, but if you, I like all in one type things where I can like go into one thing and see everything. They do VPNs, database, data management within, you know, your own computer. So it's a really cool service. It's really not all that expensive. They have a pretty good sign on. Like a year is like less than, I want to say it was like $120. And for all that, it was worth it to me, especially since, so I don't have to contact every single data broker that posts like little bits of public information about you. And it's wild. If you don't, you know, really hire one of these services, Delete Me is one of them. Incognito, I think, is one of them. So I recommend Aura, but, you know, oh, it's not Incogni, it's Incogni is what it is. I use that one too. It really didn't have, for the same price, Aura did more of what I was looking for. So that's why I switched. But Incogni is great if, you know, if you want something just kind of simple, and it's a little bit less expensive for their basic, very basic package. But I just like having all in one type things. So why I'm showing you this graphic is I'm not trying to get all xenophobic or anything because it's gonna, I feel like I sound xenophobic, but he's not even an American, and he has unrestricted access to our information now. Like, think about if you got a stimulus check, if you ever had to um, get any sort of federal aid, food, like everything. Like, I mean, think about what could be used against you with that kind of information. You know, not everybody, you know, I see no shame in, you know, any form of government assistance, but some people get really ashamed about that. It's nobody's business what you get or how much you get or, you know, why you get it. It's really, you know, I don't usually feel like I was always completely comfortable about the, you know, the Treasury having that kind of information because I knew they had, you know, obviously you file taxes for how many years of your working years, you get your stimulus checks when they give them out for whatever reason. Like I just felt so violated, and I don't really get like that, like, but you know, I felt really, I don't know. So I, which is going to get to my next thing I wanted to talk about. You know, if you're watching the Tony Michaels podcast, I say it a little bit less, with a few less F bombs and probably not nearly as loud. But, you know, we have to get involved. And however that looks like, there are protests going on all over the country. Yesterday, there was a protest in every single state capital, every single one, even Alaska, Hawaii, you name it, the state, there was a protest going on. We have to start organizing. We have to have a united message to stop this because it is getting crazy. This is insane. Um, you know, we cannot be living as Americans like this. So you need to contact your representatives, state, local, federal, clog their lines. If they're Republican, clog their lines anyway. Some um, some representatives and senators at the federal level, they only respond or allow their constituencies to contact them. Some allow, don't have that kind of, I guess you could call it a filter. Call them anyway. Call their Washington office. They have staffers. Even if you don't reach a person and you're only getting their voicemail, they have staffers that go through all their voicemail and they filter out the death threats and the nasty ones. And a lot of them listen to a lot of voicemails that are like productive. Be respectful, don't be, unhinged, but you let them know that this isn't okay. Don't be what they would want to show to, MAGA, look at the unhinged left, but you make it known that you are not having this. This is bullshit. This is some scary shit. So you need to make your voices known. That is one way you can do it. And what I've talked about this before, Activote. And Activote is, get this up on the screen. Activote is an app, but you can also use the web version. I'm going to show you a little bit of what the web version looks like. Activote gives you all of your local representatives, your federal. It has lots of different types of information. And in the link in the description is my invite link. And if you use my code, we both get access to more features because we're nerds like that. So use my link. It's in the description below. And then I have too many tabs open. I don't know about y'all, but so when you set up an account, this is what your dashboard will look like. So it has some kind of neat things. You can they'll ask you questions and it will tell you who matches with your beliefs the most. So if let's go to the elections tab. So it will tell you your next elections. And I mean, they go, obviously I live in Georgia, but they'll, granular levels. So it'll give you all that kind of thing. You can answer questions that will help match you with candidates that, match who you would be more want to support because they match your values. And then these are some of the bills that are going on within, the United States. And I do believe they go within your state, but it'll say right here, it'll have a state symbol for your state or the country if it's the national stuff. But it gives a lot of information. And then you can be a total dork and take civics quizzes. And they have a blog to talk about different, different things. One thing that I wanted to talk about was a majority approves of Trump. I'm questioning this a little bit. I don't know if I believe this completely, but anyway, I just wanted to show you what Activote is. So that link is in the description. Oh yeah, they have. If you were in the military, they can have access to everything. It's really kind of scary. And I don't usually get scared by this kind of stuff because I have terrible credit. If you read my Substack, I hit some money issues several years ago and it's hard to pull yourself out of there. So I don't worry about my identity being stolen, but now I kind of worry about a whole other level. Like I'm not worried my identity being stolen. I do worry about just people knowing really sensitive stuff about me. Like, if anybody tried to like become me and take out a loan, I mean, the bank will laugh at them, for hours. But I don't know. Maybe I'm overreacting. I just felt really kind of violated about that. So I don't know how y'all felt, but oh, Cynthia, yeah, Cynthia in the comments, does business with DOD, and yeah, they'll probably have all those records pertaining to, the nature of your business, and all that financial data. So it's really, it's really kind of scary. So, I'm trying to pull up a video. When it's just me, you all know I can't walk and chew gum, so I appreciate everybody's patience. I'm bringing up a video of, and y'all might have seen it already, but in case you haven't, this is Benjamin Netanyahu decided to pay the White House a visit the other day, and is basically is describing ethnic cleansing. So let me just play this. It's very short.
I don't think they're going to tell. I think they're going to tell Biden no, and I think they're going to tell other people no.
So you think it will happen at the end?
I think there's a good chance. Yeah.
How many people are you thinking about?
All of them. I mean, we're talking about probably 1,000,007 people, 1,000,007, maybe 1,000,008. But I think all of them. I think they'll be resettled in areas where they can live a beautiful life and not be worried about dying every day. Well, I don't think they're going to.
So basically he's talking about resettling people who live in Gaza to Egypt, Jordan, and let me go back. I forgot some of these comments are wild. So so I hope you can all see this. Where is it? Okay, so this dude, Kenny B, he thinks that Brian Krasenstein's take on how fucked up this is dumb. And I just wanted to point to his response because this is exactly what ethnic cleansing is. It's the systematic forced removal of an ethnic group and putting them somewhere else. A lot of times they end up being killed instead of relocated. But that's ethnic cleansing. That's what Hitler wanted to do. Hitler, before the final solution became the final solution, he was hoping to move them all to Madagascar. And I don't know if he actually asked Madagascar or what that deal was, but okay, I don't know if this is true. My ex-husband knows military regulation really, really well. So I don't know if this is still true, but 10 years ago, or probably 15, wow, I'm getting old. Probably 15 years ago, this was the case. Any government employee cannot make more than the president. So if he can say that he should be paid $7 million, if he's going to be a government employee, he cannot make more than the president of the United States. So there's that, which is why Supreme Court justices make a few $100,000 a year. Congress people, they all want to make more, but how it used to be is that these Congress people and Supreme Court justices eventually left their job because they wanted to go to the private sector to make a lot of money, because you can't make more than the president of the United States in government. So, yeah, and dude makes that's another really good point. Dude makes like $30 billion a day. When is enough enough? There comes a point, and one of these scholars was on Morning Joe saying this, kind of giving rich people a warning, about when the wealth income gap is so large that you have to fear a revolution, because people, like I've been saying, people will only allow their necks to be stepped on for so long before they freak the fuck out. So, and he said, and not only that though, there is no difference between making $500 million and $1 billion, because even having $1 million changes your life to where you can't buy, money can't buy happiness. It can buy temporary happiness, but it can't buy true happiness. I mean, think about it this way. Elon is the richest man in the world. and he's not happy. You know, he's not fulfilled. He's not. So there's, in my eyes, and that economist dude who was, I don't remember his name, but you know, there's no difference between making $1 billion a year and $50 billion a year or $200 billion a year. Once you hit a certain level of zeros, you can do whatever the fuck you want. When is it enough? You know, yeah, my neighbor is a disabled vet and his son is disabled. Like his son can't live without an adult. I mean, he's functioning, he's fairly high functioning, but he has severe autism. So, you know, I don't know them like that to ask like, oh, how are you doing now? But you know, I know him well enough where you know, dude told me he's a disabled vet, and you know, I know about his family a little bit. I can't imagine he's feeling good right now. I mean, come on. So, oh, hey, LB, yeah, you caught a live show. I'm glad to see you live. um, so it's just wild. Like, it's absolutely wild. Some of the stuff that's going on. So another thing I kind of wanted to you know, I'm going to talk about it is this I don't know who this dude is. But you know, I really wanted to talk about this on the ladies' room because this is what MAGA thinks about women. And I mean, we already know that, but we have to remind ourselves that, you know, I'm totally with Tony in the respect that we have to welcome when MAGA starts falling off, you know, getting picked off because Donald Trump does something that fucks them. There's some MAGA though that will never get and we don't want to get, and this is one of those dudes. And this is how they look at women. You know, it's unfathomable to them that a woman could be more competent than a man at something. And it's never about, you know, especially with their DEI war now, it's not about DEI. It's just about anybody but white men, mediocre white men at that, getting a job over them. You know, it's like they can't be mediocre anymore because there's someone who's more competent. And when there's a law that says, hey, you have to pick the person who is more competent, you know, now they actually have to work or try harder. And it's just, it's mind boggling to say the least. Oh, that's right, Cynthia. You're right. He's the new spokesperson for the DOD. I knew he was somebody important. I just couldn't remember who that was. So, yeah, I'm sure that's what they probably meant as well. So next on our list, we're going to swing back to Gaza for a second because I don't know if y'all saw this one. I heard Trump walked it back. It was a really busy day for me, so I haven't been able to compile like all the responses yet to this, but let me get this up. I need someone to be a producer to do this stuff for me. Like and subscribe so I can hire somebody to put this stuff up. But okay, so this is good old Jared. And he had some things to say about Gaza's waterfront property could be very valuable.
It could be very valuable to if people would focus on kind of building up you know, livelihoods. You think about all the money that's gone into this tunnel network and into all the munitions. If that would have gone into education or innovation, what could have been done? And so I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there. But I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. But I don't think that Israel has stated that they don't want the people to move back there afterward. Thing that that I would try.
So, What? So there they are saying it out loud. There was lots of rumors that talked about uh, Jared Kushner and Trump making Gaza waterfront property. There you go. If, for all of those who were doing their protest vote against Kamala because of Gaza, well, this administration wants to make waterfront property. Yeah, you're absolutely. Trump thinks that everything is a real estate deal. Y'all probably heard Canada was booing us at the during a national anthem at a hockey game. Like, we are pissing off everybody. And, I've said this before. What has made the United States such a wealthy nation isn't necessarily our ideas or our innovation and certainly all of those things have helped, but we're stable. We had stability since the Civil War, and stability, especially back in the day, was a hot commodity. Countries would keep their gold with us because we were a stable nation that, if there was a coup or, their gold couldn't be stolen by whoever. So people would invest in us and want to come here because of our stability. There was a rule of law, and now we're losing credibility all over the world. I mean, America first. Well, part of being, in the position that we've been in for decades, over 100 years, is that political stability that has helped us, get workers to come here to build up our railroads and our infrastructure and our farms. And it is just wild to me that we are going to, break all of that goodwill that we've built up in the world. And, I know the world knows, they definitely know our imperfections. We all know our imperfections, as a American, conglomerate, and the way our government has been. But I think they also know that at least we were trying to be better. The collective of us is trying to be better. And how do you trust the United States after this? How can we be a world power dominating when Trump is saying, oh, tariffs today, tomorrow, no tariffs, lies about countries. Like, he made no deal with Mexico. They're going to keep doing the same shit they were doing with Biden. Like, he didn't make any deal. There's no deals being made. Trump is going to probably deport fewer people than Biden did, but he'll keep cameras on every single one of them. So it looks like he's doing these massive deportations. Yeah, this is a really good point, Cynthia. I just happened to look at this. This is the first time that the farmers got fucked by him. If we all remember, and there's a video, I don't have a link for it, but I did a video last year about his tariffs from his first administration, and it crippled farmers to the point where he had to quietly bail them out. And this was a lot of the bailouts started going on right before COVID and then during COVID. So it kind of got overshadowed, this story. I certainly don't remember hearing about it, but and I didn't know this till I made this video. Apparently, China was our biggest customer for soybeans. They love their soybeans. And when we placed massive tariffs on them, they're like, all right, boom, right back at you, buddy. And instead of paying the extra money to buy American soybeans, they were like, oh, Venezuela, you're selling soybeans too at a fraction of the price. Can I buy from you? And Venezuela's like, you bet you can. And so it crippled. And in that video I'm talking about, after the show, I'll put it in the description. There's this graph that like shows it plummeting, like their sales to their main customer just plummets, and it never recovered the level it was before the tariffs. So it is wild to me, wild, that farmers would be all gung-ho about voting for him again. I mean, farmers killed themselves from losing their farms to this guy. And, I watched a documentary about how those tariffs really screwed over farmers. And they voted for him again. It's like, yeah, pork farmers too got totally fucked. In the video I made it was just a very short video, so I just focused on the soybean problem. But it's just, it boggles my mind, like how, you got burned touching the hot stove, and they're like, oh, look, the hot stove, maybe I won't get burned this time. I like, oops, I'm getting burned again. What happened? And, it's like, and it kind of really iterates the point that for some people who are voting for him, they don't actually care about the egg prices. They don't care about their economic situation. They just want anybody brown out of the country, and they think Trump is going to be able to do it. And yeah, Trump is going to definitely ruin some lives. Make no mistake about it. But he's not going to deport you'll never get rid of every undocumented person here. And I don't know. I just don't see how you can get completely screwed and then be like, you know what we should do? Touch the hot stove. That's a good idea. Let's touch the hot stove again. Yes, Vicky. Record bankruptcies over that. Exactly. So, yeah, call your representatives. Attend a protest. I don't really have a good sort. If you guys do, put it in the comments to share with everybody. I don't have a good source to recommend for finding out where protests are. I just Googled it and I found the national one yesterday, which I live too far away from Atlanta, and I had just heard about it like the day before, so I couldn't. It was just too short notice. I consume so much information, but there is just such a fire hose of information that even for me, and I'm sure you guys feel like this too, that it is just so hard to keep up with everything. So now more than ever, we need people who are talking about these things to, keep doing it. Keep talking about, because no one podcaster, no one news person, no one blogger can cover it all, because it's, he's blasting the zone with just crazy amounts of information. So if you know really good sources of info that is like really hitting the nail on the head with a lot of the important issues that we should all pay attention to that aren't getting through the noise, let me know, definitely, but let other people know. You all probably know Allison Gill. She wrote the Mueller she wrote blog. She was originally worked for the VA, and she was anonymous at first, but then I guess somehow people found out and Trump fired her for essentially talking publicly about what a shitty thing he was doing during his first term. Now she has a podcast, The Daily Bean, and she is so smart. But I saw her on Politics Girl the other day, and she made a lot of different points on things that I hadn't even thought about or even heard about yet, because there's the fire hose, and it's just so hard to consume everything. And that's the point, to create chaos, to overwhelm you, to exhaust you. And we cannot get exhausted, guys. We have to, if you need a personal day, definitely take care of yourself. Take a personal day. But we cannot not fight, because Democrats are barely fighting. They're finally filibustering Russell Vogt. He is basically the architect of Project 2025, and Trump wants him as the OBM director, Office of budget management, because he's going to be the one who really implements the key parts of Project 2025, cutting different offices. And even if he can't cut the office because that's illegal, he will find a way to not fund it. So it just is useless. So they're finally filibustering him. And I get that they want to be strategic, but they need to get together and have a unified message and fight everything. Make it hard for them. Do what, that Alabama senator, the football coach, I can't think of his name. Y'all know who I'm talking. He kept blocking. He blocked unanimous consent for Biden military appointments. And it caused huge ripples within the military because Tommy Tuberville, that's who it is. He caused a lot of the top offices to not have positions in the, and people, I think one dude even had a heart attack because he was he was working two of the number one and number two jobs because they couldn't be filled. So Brian Schatz has said he intends to block unanimous consent for a number of things. So finally they're starting to, but they need to be doing everything they can. They can't stop these things, but they can really, really slow things down. Requiring debate, requiring quorum. It's a quorum. Meaning if there aren't the right number of people to vote on something, requiring a vote on things that are usually just, they waive some rules because it's tedious and boring and nobody wants to be there longer than they have to. They need to start making these people be there longer than they have to. They need to walk out of the chamber so they can drop the numbers so there's no quorum, so it delays the vote. I mean, a lot of these things won't stop completely what's going on, but it will definitely slow it down, and at least slow it down enough for the public to absorb some of this, because that's really what Trump wants to do. And, I heard a few commentators today saying, criticizing people like me and Tony Michaels, who have the school of thought that we should fight everything in the respect of, still calling things out. And he's right. Yes, we should call things out. But a lot of this is just a distraction to flood the zone for their true agenda to get through. If we try to fight every little thing, every little social justice thing, we're going to get creamed, because they're trying to do things. Hey, look at this shiny object. And while they're doing that, they're cutting the press out and taking away offices from the New York Times. And feel how you will about the New York Times. They're supposed to be the paper of record. And to kick them out of their offices and not allow them to be a permanent fixture is wild. So we need to really get these representatives that we elect. Remember, we did not elect Elon. So nobody elected Elon. Not even MAGA elected Elon. They elected Trump. And how they can be okay with what Elon wants to do is beyond me. But it is like a cat, Sheila. You're so funny. It is like a cat following a laser beam. Yeah, my dogs like laser pointers too. Dogs will go wild for them too. They're not going into a private company. Naomi, I don't understand the question, or that might not have been for me. Yes, call them every day. Clog their lines, because contrary to what John Kennedy said, call someone who gives a shit. Well, you know what? You should give a shit because you work for me. You don't work for Trump. You work for me. Well, not literally me, but you get. Oh, no, no, no. The Department of Defense press pool is what they're kicked out of, and they used to have a permanent office within their the DoD press pool because they're supposed to be the paper of record. They kicked them out of that office along with NBC and one other NPR, and gave those offices to news organizations like One America News, Real America News, one that Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend works at, and the New York Post. Which, say what you will about the New York Times, it is like it's way more. I respect the New York Times way more on any day, any given day. Their worst day, I would still trust them over One American News any day. Breitbart, that's right, Sheila. Breitbart was one of them. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and you know what? I'm surprised Fox is still there as well, only because they started to kind of give Trump a hard time because they had to pay out almost $1 billion to Dominion voting systems, so they can't lie completely and blatantly. So, and they got on Trump's shit list. So I'm really surprised that Trump didn't say, "Hey, let's get out Fox News." But I don't. I don't know. I guess they're not nearly as egregious as some of the others. I'm not sure if about I was referring to just the news organ. I don't know if he's still there or not. Talk about weird. Talk about weird couple. Wow. So we're hitting the top of the hour soon. So I wanted to get some of my grifty stuff in. Not really, I don't make any money off of this, really, but make sure that you like and subscribe the YouTube channel. It helps the algorithm, and we met our goal with 1,700 subscriptions. So keep sharing, keep liking, keep subscribing so we can get to 2,000. Yay! Some people are like, the road to 2 million. I'm like, the road to 2,000. Yeah. Also check out my Substack. Let me get this on the screen. And also so we can pay somebody. So I'm to help me produce this, because I'm not good at it. Oh, Lordy. So check out my Substack. It's Library of Democracy .substack.com. And I'm putting the link. So check that out. I also have another Substack called The Reference Point, and that's more for my nerdy librarian stuff. And all are free. If you'd like to be a paid contributor to support my work, that would be wonderful. If not, no worries. When you get a paid subscription, you get access to my research and data that I use. And you can also send me direct questions for research that you're doing, or I can help you find what if it's just a question that you don't know how to research, I can help you with strategies and that kind of stuff. Also, check out our link tree with where our socials are. I have a video there as well as in the description, but let me get this on the screen. How to find out where your representatives are. A lot of you already know how to find them. A lot of people don't know. And, a Google search doesn't always give you who or what you're looking for. So this video is really short. It's under 3 minutes. It shows you a step-by-step on how to find out your federal representatives. I've noticed, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, probably not, because you probably already know your representatives. When I was making this video, oddly enough, I found out that there were some serious error messages when I would type in it. I was going to use the New York Public Library as the example on how to locate who your representatives are. But it kept coming up with this error message and making you log in, but not making you log in for like a congress.gov account where you can get notifications for bill updates. It was like, almost like to log into their system. It was really weird. So this will show you how to go to house.gov for the House of Representatives and senate.gov for your senators. For some reason, it wasn't working when I did. And I also wanted to show you how to do that through the government websites. I mean, you're more than welcome to use ActiveVote or any other type of system that does that kind of thing. But I like to send people to the source because especially in this administration, we are noticing that they're messing with shit, and so it'll show you that they're messing with stuff, and you can show people, hey, they're messing with, why is house.gov down? Why is senate.gov down? So and if this was 10 years ago, I would say it's always better to go to the government site. But we're not in 10 years ago time frame. We are in the now. So anyway, that is why I have that there. And then you can link to our Substack, the Ladies Room. You can get to that playlist to see past episodes, how to become a supporter, and get emailed updates. And I always recommend watching Tony's podcast live Monday through Friday, 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern, and his contact information, because he is very helpful to the Ladies Room. He helps us stream it with his software, so I always like to say thank you for supporting us and helping us out. And so that's all the grifty things I have that are not really grifts, but I'm bad at self-promotion, so and promoting, the other ladies here. So that's all I got for today. So thank you all for tuning in. Remember to share, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next week. Hopefully for Deidre and our dear friend Vagabondia. So, all right, good night, guys. Have a good night.